Okay, so well, let's start with a monopoly. What is a monopoly?
So it's where one firm dominates the market and they have high barriers to entry and exit and they profit maximize.
Good. So when a firm has monopoly power, that
Yeah,
one firm has a really high market share, 25% plus, and it can even be a pure monopoly with 100% market share.
yeah.
What's your understanding of a natural monopoly?
Um, so is it like where it's more efficient for there to just be one firm?
Good. So the most efficient number of firms is one. Okay.
Right.
So first, I'm going to start with an easy um, diagram, but also just an explanation of why this is the case. So a monopoly or monopoly power is when one firm dominates the market. A natural monopoly is when the most efficient number of firms in the market is one.
Yeah.
Why is the most efficient number of firms one for certain industries?
Is that because of the sunk costs?
Good. There's something else we have to say, but that's a good starting point. Very high fixed costs, specifically like infrastructure and stuff like that. There would be each water company would have very high fixed costs. Each train company would have very high fixed costs. Each letter postage company would have very high fixed costs, right?
Yeah.
But that's not all. We shouldn't stop there. What else do we know about them? What do we know about their average cost curve?
Do they have economies of scale?
Yeah, they because of their very high fixed costs, they have lots of economies of scale, and their economies of scale outweigh their diseconomies of scale, even if output is very high. So usually a firm benefits from economies of scale.
Yeah.
Output gets too high, and they face diseconomies of scale, right?
Yeah.
So because the fixed costs are so high, they're going to keep on benefiting from economies of scale. Okay?
Hmm.
I would just make sure you give examples of both of them, but mentioning economies of scale with natural monopoly is extremely important.
Okay.
So here's an easy diagram that illustrates why the most efficient number of firms is one. This should be the basic bit, and then I can show you what you'd use for big questions in terms of regulating them and stuff like that. So you've got the price cost revenue. In this case, just the costs actually, and then the quantity or the output. The average cost curve looks like this. Okay, that's the LRAC. If there's two or three firms in the market, each firm would have an output like this, right? What would happen if there's only one firm in the market? Would they be able to produce more output or less output?
More output.
Cool. So the output could be here, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't this simple diagram and this simple chain of reasoning show that it's more efficient for there to only be one firm in the market?
Yeah.
Because they can exploit more of their economies of scale, which we highlighted, and move closer to their MES, their minimum efficient scale,
Hmm.
which is the lowest point on their long run average cost curve, where economies of scale are being fully exploited. It's very unlikely they'll even get to the MES, but if there's so many firms in the market, none of them are going to get to the MES. At least one firm will get closer to the MES.
Okay.
That's it. That's a simple diagram done.
All right.
Okay. Cool. So then the next thing we should cover, and if you need to decide in a question whether or not something is a natural monopoly, uh, just figure out if they have any diseconomies of scale or not, and figure out if there's any evidence for the fixed costs and the economies of
Right.
scale.
Okay.
Okay, regulating them is an interesting point, Sometimes you can refer to them just as a normal monopoly and you don't have to overcomplicate them too much. But for regulation, it comes down to a couple of things. The first thing is just considering where they actually operate. So where do they operate? They operate where? Just like a normal monopoly, except their average cost curve is L-shaped. So this will become a U later, but we don't draw that, right?
Yeah.
So that's your LRAC. That's your MC. And then you've got your normal downward sloping average revenue curve and your twice as steep marginal revenue curve, right? Where do they operate? They profit maximize, don't they? So where's that?
MC equals MR.
Cool. So they operate at P1, C1, and Q1. Their price is quite high, but still lower than it would be if there was multiple firms. Their costs are
Yeah.
quite high, but still lower than there would be if there were multiple firms. And their quantity is low, but not as low as it would be if there were multiple firms.
Yeah.
It's worth recapping the efficiencies here. So are they dynamically efficient?
They are,
Yeah, why?
because they profit maximize.
They make supernormal profit in the long run.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's high barriers to entry, so this is going to stay in the long run. Make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. They're not allocatively efficient. Why are they not allocatively efficient?
Because they don't operate at MC equals AR, is it?
Yeah. Supply doesn't equal demand. AR does not equal MC. And then productively efficient, technically they're not, but again, we talked about this before. They are closer to productive efficiency compared to if there was one firm. But no, they're not productively efficient either.
Okay.
But they are closer to it, so that is important to note. The only thing we really might want to do, especially if it's a water company or energy company, is bring people's bills down and increase allocative efficiency and increase consumer surplus, right? How do we do that? We need to figure out, if we're the regulator, is there any chance we can get this firm to be allocatively efficient? Where would that be? That would be AR equals MC. Do you think this is possible?
Yeah, probably.
So how would you do it?
Well, they just have to increase their output.
As in, how would the government get them to do it? Or how would the CMA get them to do it?
Could they like subsidize them?
Yeah, so, well, first thing you'd think, I would say if you want to force a company to charge a certain price,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing you should probably be thinking of is, did everything just move? One second. So look at this. So the first thing you'd want to consider is, where is allocative efficiency? So that's at Q2, P2, and C2, right?
Yeah.
So the first thing you should think is, if I want to force a company or a market to charge a certain price, well, the most obvious solution is a maximum price, right?
Yeah.
So you could say, well, P max. Don't do a normal maximum price diagram from year 12. Do something like this, or a monopoly one.
Right. Okay.
Okay. That's the basic point. Technically, that, in theory, would be the first consideration, okay?
Yeah.
What do you notice? Is this if what would happen to firms if the government implemented this maximum price?
They'd be earning normal profit.
What's higher, their costs or their revenue at Q2?
Their costs are higher, so
So what
no
would they
problem.
do if you're in the long run, if your average cost is more than your average revenue, what would you do?
You just wouldn't like operate. You'd shut down.
Yeah, that's the long run shutdown condition as well. I'd revise that one as well, but that's a shutdown point, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to work, is it?
Mm.
And then you did say subsidies, but this way you understand why. So on top of the maximum price, you could subsidize them.
Right. Okay.
Okay, but then there's all sorts of problems. There's opportunity cost, there's how they use the subsidies, and all sorts of stuff like that. So that's one option. The other option is just to nationalize the industry, because if you nationalize the industry, the government can just make a loss every year, but they have public interest at heart when they own a company. They don't care
Yeah.
about supernormal profits. They care about public interest, so they're
Yeah.
okay to sustain a loss every year.
Mm.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's fine. With